So I did my project on incentive pay and kind of just the idea of if it really works, is it beneficial for companies, and the benefits and negatives of that. Obviously, incentive pay is something that's very controversial and complicated, and it's really important to recognize that when it's done in a very efficient and precise way, it can serve as something that are very beneficial. But there are obviously certain negatives and disadvantages to it as well. So these are just some of the problems and questions that I'm going to be answering throughout the presentation. Does incentive pay really work? Can it really help encourage employees? And does it improve work ethic and motivational skills? So there are 5 types of individual incentive pay plans: piecework plans, management incentive plans, behavioral encouragement plans, referral plans, and spot bonuses. And I will explain all of these in detail. So another big thing that I'm going to be asking that I didn't put on here is kind of the difference between individual incentive pay and group incentive pay, and then company-wide incentive pay. Obviously, all of these are very different. As you can tell by their titles, you can kind of see what they do. But one very big aspect of incentive pay is if it's really necessarily beneficial, or if it's just simply, giving oral approval is enough. And I'll explain that too. So these are just some of the textbook concepts that I'm going to be talking about. Obviously, we're going to discuss incentive pay, short term and long term I put on here, but also individual versus group. The first type of individual is a piecework plan, as you can see on the right, and it is defined as an individual incentive pay program that rewards employees based on their individual hourly production against an objective output standard determined by the pace at which manufacturing equipment operates. The second one, which I said earlier, is a management incentive plan. I didn't put it on here because I don't really talk about it that much. But the third type is behavioral encouragement plans, and that's when employees receive payments for specific behavioral accomplishments like, good attendance or safety records. The fourth is a referral plan, which refers to new customers or recruiting successful job applicants. And these are usually deemed successful if the employee is hired, in good standing with the company. That's really the only time that it kind of works. So finally, the last one, which isn't up here because I don't talk about it, is a spot bonus. But now I'm going to talk about group incentive plans, and there are 2 types, which are team-based or gain sharing. So gain sharing describes a group incentive system that provides participating employees an incentive payment based on improved company performance, and that can be either for increased productivity, increased customer satisfaction, lower costs, or better safety records. And that's kind of just a summary of the textbook concepts as well. I also have up here a few sub-definitions that are covered related to incentive pay plans. One is core compensation, which is basically like describing monetary rewards that employees receive for, doing well. And there are 7 types of core compensation, but I won't, say all of them because it's a lot. The other one is base pay, which represents the monetary compensation employees earn on a regular basis. And then market compaying systems represent, their compensation policies that can fit competitively. So obviously there are a lot of explanations and theories about incentive pay, and there are causes for this. One of the biggest ones is definitely employees are always needing motivation. They're always looking for constant ways to motivate their employees, especially now in the modern day, because attention spans are lower. So therefore, incentive plans come into action. And then group incentive plans are usually enacted if the company's not really doing well as a whole. Same with company incentive plans as well. So also I studied a Harvard and Yale experiment, basically where they studied incentive pay in certain companies and they kind of saw the success rate of it. Mainly incentive plans, it's very beneficial to the employees. They find that, bonuses are really big. They increase productivity, they improve business results, and I'll talk about all of the benefits and negatives more in my employee slide, but this is just a little summary. Along with the benefits, they also said that quarterly bonuses are really big, especially because they're motivating more because they're giving out more than annual ones. But the negatives were also really big. They said it can create coworker tension, competition. It can cause employees to become a little bit cocky in the workplace. Makes them feel like they have some sort of power, which definitely is not a good thing, especially in a large corporate company. We don't want people doing that. So this is just a little summary of the financials. Obviously, You can see all of the parts up here that usually incentive pay has to do with, like revenue, stock company share earnings, operating income, pay plans, obviously the most important one, and revenue growth. With revenue growth and kind of operating income and stock company share earnings, that's more just with the inner workings of incentive plans, while pay plans is the more obvious one. So this chart shows the types of variable pay, which is also incentive pay, by organization size. And this has on the side all of the certain individual incentive pay types that I named earlier, like spot bonus, discretionary, team incentive, profit sharing, all of that. And basically, the purple represents the small companies, the green represents the mid-size, and the blue represents the large, which is really important when it comes to incentive pay. I did mention this in my report, but you can see on this chart the popularity with individual incentive bonuses for small companies. It's really, really a lot easier for small companies to have individual incentive pay because there's also, not a lot of people around. It's easier to not have coworker tension or jealousy or anything like that. While group plans are kind of not really that popular with small companies and more with large and enterprise. So this chart shows, short-term incentive plans at private companies, just the percentage of, the most common offerings. The orange is 2017 and the blue is 2015. Obviously, these are a little old and they can be different, in modern day. But I also think it's really important to recognize that in 2017, the annual incentive plans was really big because in that article that I mentioned, the quarterly bonuses were really big. So that's definitely something that has changed. So the last appendix that I have is also for a private company. This kind of shows the median target for plan awards for your position at a company. So the CEO obviously gets the highest, and then it goes down from other executives to managers, supervisors, and exempt and non-exempt. CEO definitely gets the most, but you can kind of understand why. And this is also for a private company as well. So for corporate, it would be much different. So this slide describes the employee effects and how it, incentive pay kind of forms out in employees' lives. For individual, it's definitely, increases productivity, getting things done faster, improves business results. Like I said before, there are also many more cases of incentive plans working than not individually. And it also only works for individual if the company can afford it. Everything has to do with the company's profits. So if a company is smaller, they can usually afford to do that. Like I said, it's easier in private, smaller firms. But in corporate firms, it can be a little more difficult, but it really all depends on how successful the company is. And then also with group, it's really important, to keep the unification of the group. And with incentive plans, it can be difficult to kind of get that mixed up. So like I said, like individual plans, that's all based on employees themselves, but the group incentive plans kind of focus on the group or company as a whole and their success as a whole because that's what's going to affect the entire company and then will, in return affect the individuals. So these plans kind of promote supportive collaborative behavior. They work really well in manufacturing and service delivery environments that rely on interdependent teams, people who are doing different jobs, and especially in gain sharing programs. So company effects are really important, and there are such things called company-wide incentive plans. And these plans, tie employee compensation into company's performance over a short time frame. And they are normally used to get employees to be more motivated about doing things for the company and making things better for the group as a whole, like very similar to group incentives. But this is more about, increasing sales, profit, or company value, not really based on the team goal. So there are two types of company-wide incentive plans, and they're called profit-sharing plans and employee stock option plans. Profit sharing, they pay a portion of the company profits to employees, which is separate from base pay and like cost living adjustments, things like that. While employee stock option plans represent a long-term company-wide incentive plan that gives them stock options. Like I said before, these all have to do with multiple large goals of the company, and the performance and operational measures are there for you to see as well. So my recommendation would be, incentive pay can be a really good thing if it's not brought upon the company in any negative ways, like competition or tension or losing money or anything like that. And like I said before, it's very important to know the concept and kind of research it before executing it because it has to fit the company structure in order for it to be successful. And it's very beneficial for individual motivational ways, but it can be risky with the company or group with money and everything. Thanks so much.